Good evening, Sigma Chi brothers, sweethearts, and guests. Welcome to the latest Signature Series event titled Sigs in Real Estate, brought to you by the Sigma Chi Learning Consortium in partnership with the Sigma Chi Career Advantage. My name is Michael Lambrecht, and I'm a graduate of the Lambda Kappa chapter at RIT and a member of the Member Engagement Committee. This month, we're excited to bring together some of our Sigma Chi brothers who've excelled in various sectors in the real estate field. We'll hear more about their journeys in their career, how they navigated the great successes and challenges of the booming industry. I have the distinct honor of introducing one such expert who will be our moderator this evening, Order of Constantine brother, Bob Schock. Bob graduated from the Northern Arizona University in 1973, where he served as the Zeta Omicron chapter's Rush chairman and consul. He then continued his Sigma Chi journey serving on the headquarters staff as an assistant executive secretary. Bob then started work at CBRE in 1977, where he was eventually named managing director of property management operations for the Kansas City region. Since 1999, he served as the senior vice president and director of property management for the Yarko Company, an apartment development and investment and management business in Kansas City until his retirement in June 2023. Under his guidance, Bob grew the portfolio to over 10,000 units across 9 states, earning multiple national accolades and awards. He's a certified property manager and certified Commercial Institute member. In addition to all his work in real estate, Bob is also a regular guest lecturer at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and the Real Estate MBA program. Bob has worn many hats within the fraternity in a volunteer capacity. He served as chapter advisor, Grand Tribune, and Grand Trustee. He was a Balfour Leadership Training Workshop participant in a variety of capacities for 43 years and has continued for the past 3 years as a facilitator in the Servant Leader track at the Schock Transformational Leadership Workshop. He served on various boards, notably as the chairman of the Constantine Capital Corporation. Since 2018, he's served on the Constantine Housing Initiative, CHI board, and is presently the treasurer for CHI. We are thrilled to have Bob lead our conversation this evening and to benefit from his extensive real estate knowledge and Sigma Chi involvement. Welcome, Bob.
Hey, thank you, Michael. Well, that's even better than I wrote it. I really appreciate it. So thanks for the nice introduction, and I'd like to welcome you all here today. We've got a nice group of panelists to share their experiences that you'll find they're in different places in their career. That hopefully that is helpful to you. And for those who aren't familiar with CHI, Constantine Housing Initiative, if you saw the event picture, that was a picture of most of our board of directors in the chapter at Marquette, where we did $1 million renovation to their home. And that's how Constantine Housing Initiative is helping to improve the quality of our fraternity housing here at Sigma Chi. So first up, let me introduce Tyler Mitchell. Tyler graduated from Bryant University in 2020 with a degree in financial services and economics. Tyler was in the Xi class of Lambda Eta chapter and served as Hoekstra and scholarship chair. During his time as Bryant, he ran a digital marketing firm that has served small businesses and political campaigns, which ended up being very valuable as he is growing his real estate business. Everything's on the internet, isn't it, Tyler? So,
absolutely.
So before heading out to Boston, which is not too far from where he went to school, Tyler spent 2 years on commercial real estate in Manhattan, working for Boston Properties, managing the Citicorp Center in Midtown. And then he made the switch to residential sales to pursue his passion for real estate and entrepreneurship with the Ryan J. Glass team at Gibson's Sotheby's, which is no lightweight in your business. So welcome, Tyler.
Thanks for the introduction, Bob. Thank you.
You bet. Our second panel member is Ron Hunt. Ron graduated from Stephen F. Austin in 1991 with degrees in communications and counseling. He is a certified luxury home marketing specialist, one of the professional designations you can get in residential real estate. Ron is consistently ranked in the top 10% of producers in the North Texas region, holding notable certifications in new home sales and seniors real estate. With over 22 years of experience in the Dallas real estate market, which seems to be always hot, from that standpoint. And he has not only has he excelled as a top producer in one of the nation's highest producing brokerages, but he's also served as CEO team leader of a major real estate brokerage company. In addition to his real estate prowess, Ron is deeply ingrained in community engagement, serving as president of the Sigma Chi Dallas alumni chapter, volunteering on various boards of directors, and graduating from the 2021 Leadership McKinney program. That's serious. Congratulations. Balancing roles as a family man, industry expert, and community leader, Ron encapsulates his ethos with the tagline, quote, "Life is all about love. Love is where you live," unquote, reflecting his dedication to helping clients find homes they can truly love. Welcome, Ron. Thanks for giving us some of your time this evening.
Thanks, Bob.
And our third panelist is Mark Hoekstra. Mark received his undergraduate degree in business administration from the University of San Diego, where he was an active member of the Theta Lambda chapter. He has since accumulated more than 38 years in commercial real estate and cultivated an intimate working knowledge of all facets of real estate in the industry. As president and co-founder of Intersection, Mark is responsible for executing their long-term plan of the organization by formulating strategies and overseeing daily business operations. He is also actively involved in several commercial real estate associations and philanthropic efforts. I see we share a professional designation, Mark, of the CPM.
Yes, I
do. Mark has served as past president of both the USD Alumni Association and the Escondido Sunrise Rotary Club. He also serves as a member of USD's Burnham Moores Center for Real Estate, Commercial Real Estate Committee, and is a past director of the San Diego County Commercial Association of Realtors and City Center Advisory Committee. Recently, Mark earned his master's degree in entrepreneurial leadership from his alma mater. Welcome to you, Mark. And thanks for all three of you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Well, you haven't heard all the questions yet, but we're glad to have you. And those of you that have joined us out there for our panel, during the program, if you have particular questions or things you want to ask, you're able to do that on your screen in the comments side over there, but we'll wait until the end until we get to those Q&As, from that standpoint, if that's okay, but be sure to write them down and hopefully we'll have time to get most of them that we possibly can. And it's really nice to welcome all of you here that are interested in real estate, because hopefully you did or didn't see the headline on the Wall Street Journal today, which I'd hold up, but I know won't show up very well. But despite the fact that the main headline on the Wall Street Journal today was "Spectacular Crash of a $30 billion Property Empire," which shows you, big risk, big reward, right? But be that as it may, this is a wonderful industry in a lot of different areas. And there's a place for everybody with every sense of skill set. Most of you heard about brokerage development, it's where the big money is, or like you think the big money is from the standpoint, but there's also a number of other areas in real estate: property management, mortgage brokerage, being an appraiser, architecture, construction, and so forth. I mean, there's 7 or 8 easy ways that people get involved in this business. Of course, the highest profile is what we're talking about here today. So we will jump right in to our first question. And Tyler, I'm going to start with you since you started out on one side of our business and moved to another side. Hopefully you have insights on what caused you to do that, but can you provide insights into the different career paths within the real estate industry and how to choose the best fit for you since you chose to go from one area to another?
Yeah, absolutely. So my passion in real estate started with me and my brother just having the idea of after school saving up our money, buying properties, renovating, holding, and renting. And that led just to us going in and finding our own knowledge in the space. So after school, I found myself in commercial real estate in Manhattan, went through the process to get within Boston Properties, got assigned to the Citicorp Center, and my team and I ran the skyscraper in the middle of Midtown. And I thought it was extremely interesting in the sense of the project management standpoint of controlling and running these massive construction projects on all these floors and the operations behind it, along with just the relationships that we were having with all of our high-end tenants, anywhere from Kirkland to Ellis, Citadel, all the hedge funds, law firms, and everything had to be pristine. The only thing that lacked, in my opinion, which is where I kind of made the transition over into residential, was just like my energy, the personable side that I have of wanting to interact and move around, where me being stuck in the basement of a skyscraper all day, barely seeing any sunlight from anywhere from 6:30 in the morning to 6:37 at night, depending on the needs of our tenants. It was just that I found out early on that whatever I want to do with my life in real estate, I want to have the time to be able to build and grow. And for me, I found early on that the commercial side wasn't specifically for me. And then I did my own research to make sure that making the move over to the residential side, already being an entrepreneur in the marketing space, that it all kind of came together, that building my own brand, my own like real estate business in the Boston market was exactly where my goals aligned. And I'm so glad of what I learned in the commercial side of the business, because it's helped me see things in a bigger way. But now it's really exciting and stressful growing your own real estate business, 100% commission and figuring it out along the way. So,
sure, you bet. I get it. And I applaud your courage to make that switch, because that can't always be easy, because I'm sure you took a step down in pay till you got settled there, you know.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, Ryan, it sounds like, did you jump right into residential real estate right away? And how did you know that was the right spot for you?
No, I think like a lot of real estate agents, we find ourselves in a path where we're not happy with whatever it is we're doing in life, or we get laid off or whatever. And I spent my first 5 years out of graduate school working in higher education, and I thought I was going to stay in the higher education space, kind of work my way up into administration. I ended up taking a job that brought me back from my college town back to where I grew up in the Dallas area, and took a job working in the technical recruiting space, which was, no offense to anybody who's doing it who loves it, but I couldn't stand it. But I was kind of stuck because I had left higher education and trying to get back into it. I couldn't afford to go back into it. And I won't get on all the details of that, but it was too difficult to kind of transition back. So after 9/11, the company we were working for ended up closing the doors. They were a Canadian-based company that had a branch in Dallas area with all the telecom that was booming, but they closed us down on a Friday, and they just told us this is it. Like, we didn't get any notice or anything. But I was miserable for about 6 months before that. So I had already started my real estate classes, and I chose to go real estate because I knew I wanted to start a business, but I didn't have a lot of capital to start one. both my dad and my stepdad were both entrepreneurs. So I was not afraid necessarily. I was scared, but I mean, I wasn't so afraid that I wasn't going to do it. But real estate just seemed like a way that I could do what I liked, which was engaging with people. I didn't like sitting behind a desk per se. I didn't want to be in an office space per se. So it was a risk. But my realtor that helped me when I bought a house when we moved to Dallas is a man. Interesting. Obviously, we're all men, but the residential real estate space, in my mind anyway, was largely made up of women. That was my perception. So I wasn't sure if I could do it, but I knew that he was fantastic at it, and so he convinced me to do it. And taking the plunge in 100% commission world was risky. But 22 years later, I'm glad I did it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Mark, you have anything you'd like to add about how you stumbled into this crazy business?
Sure. Unlike our other panelists, my family was grandfather, father, uncle. They all had their own commercial real estate businesses. And so I just kind of stumbled into it because that's how I grew up. And I fell in love with it from day one. I always tell people you can't do what Tyler did. Going from one to the other, going from commercial to residential or vice versa, it's actually really difficult. And I mentor a lot of young people in college or getting out of college. And I always tell them the first thing you got to do is you have to decide commercial or residential. And then second, and probably the most important thing, is where do you want to spend the rest of your life? Because while we have internet and we have Google Earth and we have all of that, nothing replaces actual boots on the ground, local knowledge of a particular market, whether it's commercial or residential. And, I happen to live in California, and there's many people I know, including my children, who are telling me, why am I still in California? And the simple fact of the matter is I have 38 years of experience throughout the Western United States. I know almost every street in Southern California. I've managed property in just about every submarket. And I couldn't imagine going to Nashville, where my daughter is taking my grandkids and leaving the state. But what am I going to do? This is the market I know. These are the relationships I spent 38 years building. And so that's kind of the first thing, the first two things, forks in the road of a decision path. And then the next one is, do you want to go to a big company or a small company? And there's positives and negatives for both. I happened to choose, I spent 6 months at Coldwell Banker when they were actually still called Coldwell Banker. And then I went to an entrepreneurial shop. I spent 18 years there, and then I started my own company. And so I've always been more of the small entrepreneurial, high net worth individuals, syndications, as opposed to institutional. But I find it's probably more difficult if you go from residential to commercial. And I think it's probably unfair, but I think most people in commercial, it's a different world. I mean, I love what Ron said, or what your introduction about Ron said about love. It's a very emotional decision, buying a home where you're going to raise your family and where you're going to live, as opposed to where am I going to put my office for the next 6 years, or where am I going to have my warehouse and access to freeways and all of that. So I actually love the commercial side because of that lack of emotion, and it's kind of a more straightforward business model.
Gosh, I'm kind of halfway between that. I got a call from a member of my chapter, Sigma Chi, again, Dick Moore. He graduated 4 years ahead of me, and he said, I have permission to hire an assistant, Bob, and I think you'd be good at this. And I said, what's that? He said, property management. I said, I don't know what that is. He says, it's management of property. I said, I still don't know what that is. But we went and had dinner and talked about it. It seemed like that might be a good fit for me. And Mark, I started what you're talking about. I started when it was Coldwell Banker Commercial.
Yeah.
Down in Tucson, Arizona. My first day in the business was April 1st, 1977, which I thought was a rather symbolic day to begin in this business. But I was on the commercial side 7.5 years, 2 different tours of duty at CBRE. And then halfway through my career, I ended up at the Arco Company, family-owned business, 100 years old, focused on affordable housing and multifamily side. And it was where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in multifamily. I loved it. And on the affordable side, comes with a certain amount of challenges. But by the same token, I got to give people the most intimate thing I could give them, and that's a home.
Yeah.
And I know what that means to
Bob,
me, and I think I know what it means to you. And that became a very rewarding last half of my career. For out of 46 years in the business, 23 of those were at the Arco Company. And best place I ever worked in the business.
One of the things that you started off is the many different career paths within real estate, because you see a lot of people say, I want to be in real estate. Well, what does that mean? There are so many. And the one thing I love about this business and about this career choice is that whether you are a type A personality, a type B personality, whether you're analytical, whether you're social, whether you're there's a spot for you in this business. And you can, as you have pointed out, you can do development management, you can do appraisal, you can do accounting services, you can do construction management, you can do brokerage. At Intersection, we have a brokerage company, we have a facilities maintenance company, we have a property management company, and we have an investment company. And so we've got people running around here of all different personalities, types, skill sets, and I think it's an absolutely wonderful career. And you just got to find the right niche and where your passion is.
Yeah. And I'll bet you different layers of education.
Yeah.
And whatever your level of education, there's an opportunity in this business to be successful and take care of your family. So that's what I've learned about it. Gosh, we got 7 more questions to go, guys. So maybe we're going to jump over here. And Mark, why don't we start with you? You're very involved in your community, very different things. So what advice would you give to brothers looking to break into the real estate market, especially in terms of networking and getting experience?
I kind of gave the first 3, so I won't go over that relative to commercial and where you want to live the rest of your life and all of that. But I think, what I share with the young people is just have as many informational interviews as you can. The more people you can meet in this business in all the different facets, you can't do it enough. And the other thing I can tell you is people love to talk about themselves and what they do. If they're passionate about their business, they're going to share with you everything there is to know, the pitfalls, the positives, the negatives. And so organizations such as BOMA and IREM and the local chapter of the Board of Realtors, all of that, there's a ton of networking opportunities. But right in Sigma Chi is a perfect one. And I guarantee you, in your own alumni chapter, there are a ton of people in commercial real estate or residential, and you just can't have too many meetings, cups of coffee, a glass of wine, or whatever it takes to get that interview.
Yeah, great advice. Ryan, you were kind of a what now moment. So,
Yeah.
What do you have? Do you have anything to share with this question? I'm sure you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always been very involved. I like to get involved in things. I like to find organizations and causes and so forth that just strike a chord with me. And usually when I get involved in them, it's probably, I don't know if it's an ego thing or not, but I tend to want to be in charge of it. Like, not because I think people are not doing a good enough job. It's just, it's like when I see something, I want to just go all in. And I mean, we've always heard that Sigma Chi we're leaders of men, and I feel like we can join things, but if you're just going to join something to join it, that's kind of you're going to have very limited results that come from that. And I don't mean results from like how much business you get, but just how much you grow from it. So networking was really a big deal for me. Before I even decided to get into real estate, I had found myself as the president of the Dallas alumni chapter for my university. And all of this panel, everybody on here is from various parts all over the country. So unless you're from Texas, you probably don't know anything about my school. But, we've got 12, 13,000 students. It's a fairly good sized school, for standards of most states. But we have a lot of alumni living in the Dallas area. So I got real involved in that. And then when I found myself getting into real estate, I was like, shoot, this is awesome. I've got a database of like 400 people that I've met in the last 2 years just through my alumni work. So then I found myself, I saw Mark talking about this too. I got on the Alumni Association board of directors for our university. And I did that for like a dozen years. In addition to running, on the Alumni Association piece, doing the Dallas Alumni Chapter president role for a few years. And those were just really good opportunities for me to meet people that we have something in common. Because you can go to networking events, but you got to find something that you really have something in common with people. And so that was my big initiative. I think first of all, was to get involved in some networking things with groups that everybody had something in common with. And then eventually I found Sigma Chi, the alumni chapter. I've kind of loosely and been involved in that for many years, but very intimately involved in it now. And the connections that I've made through just social media and through our actual events through Sigma Chi have been amazing. I mean, there's been a lot of business that has come from it as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler, what do you got on that? Okay, I'm convinced I can do this.
Yeah. So what Ron was saying towards the end is like the cool part and the flexibility behind real estate is you could build your entire business around your passions and what drives you. And for me, that's a lot of fitness, food. So I tried obviously getting involved in the business organizations is huge, but then also doing it around your passions, because that's what people are going to be able to vibe and connect with you is through those passions. And then on the other side of things is that when it comes to networking, first, you have the upstream networking. If you already got your real estate license and you're looking to get into the field now, it's like, all right, you need to find your niche. So for me, I wanted to get into luxury real estate. Now, my next question is what brokerage am I going to put myself under where I'm going to hang my license that speaks luxury, that I'm going to be surrounded by other top producers that sell what I want to sell. And that's how I ended up finding Gibson Sotheby's. And then now where you take it from there is you take upstream marketing where you're meeting with as many lenders, insurance brokers, financial planners in that industry that are very well connected or new. And you're having those conversations, you're learning from their stories, and you're starting to build those referral partners. Because if you could find someone that's maybe new in the industry the same way you are, and you guys both have that same drive, that same passion, and you guys are both planning to build an empire in the market that you're in, it's so valuable because now you both have the same mindset and you could grow together and build that referral business. And then the last part of it is market education. For the first year of my real estate career, and I still do it a lot, I bike around Boston. It allows me to understand the streets. I bike from open house to open house. So, I mean, obviously, if I'm showing clients, I'll take the car because I'll be driving them around. But learn the market. Go to the open houses. Know the inventory. I'm huge on data. Go into your MLS. Find out about all the specifics and the numbers of the market that you're selling in. Because when you have a conversation, you have to be known as a professional and someone that is so knowledgeable in that area, especially if you're in the luxury space, because that's what they're expecting when they're talking to you. So market knowledge, networking, prospecting, cold calling, just do whatever you have to do to get your business off the ground. be in tunnel vision, keep your head down and grind. And I'm still doing it. I'm still building, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I see his youth and his enthusiasm, and it's infectious. Tyler, I'm impressed that everything you've done and that you're doing. I know that you are going to build an empire. I'm just going to throw this out, Bob. I know you got another question probably, but this was said years ago, and I always try to it rings true in my head, and I tell people that are looking to get into this business, when they watch all these shows on TV, I mean, you're not showing 3 properties and then they choose one. It's just not the way it is. It'd be great, but that's not the way it is. But the thing that I would leave with you guys thinking about it is, when you're in real estate, I mean, almost all of us are 100% commission. There are a few exceptions, but most of us are. And you have to wrap your head around the fact that you're in the lead generation business. That's it. Like, you've got to be lead generating all the time. So to what Tyler said, find the things that you love and go lead generate in those worlds. Because it's otherwise, where do you want to lead generate? In, some random, public space or some venue or something? No, you want to find your passion and go lead generate in that consistently and deliberately. Most of your day should be about that.
Yep. Great advice. Did you write that down, Tyler?
I have it down.
One thing I'll throw is Sigma Chi wrote a book. His name is Farazi. I'm trying to remember his first name. I want to say Neil. I don't know if that's right. But he wrote a book called Never Eat Lunch Alone. It's a very interesting, easy read, quintessential networking book, from that standpoint. So I'll mention that one for you and for those, out there. And Mark's comment, your comment about knowing the marketplace. There's no substitute for market knowledge, anything. And you heard Mark mention, he goes, I'm in San Diego, I've been everywhere. My wife and I recently attended a wedding in an area of Kansas City. Keith Farazi. Thank you, Jim. And what's called the Wet Bottoms in Kansas City, which is an old industrial area. So I drive right to the thing. My wife goes, how did you know where this was? I said, honey, there's a whole lot of places I haven't been, from that standpoint. She goes, well, I don't care as long as you get us out of here to go home. But there you go. So, okay, why don't we jump on to the next question, our third question coming up. Challenges. What are the most significant challenges you feel that you're facing in your day-to-day work as a real estate professional? You know what, Tyler? I'm going to throw this one at you to get started. What do you find hardest to overcome that we may be able to help you with?
Time management and relationship management. So obviously in our business, time is extremely valuable. How we spend it, because most of our time needs to be lead generation. When we're dealing with those specific clients, I've realized that it's so important to hone in on and understand quickly through your consultations, through your conversations, through your relationship building, who you need to spend the most time on, especially in the luxury space where a lot of the clients are very demanding. So what I've had to realize is, like, I put a lot of work in. When I'm working with a specific client, I am putting together hours worth of data, summarizing it for them to give them that market education. And if I realize that I am showing them home after home and going through market education for, say, 5 different areas of Boston, and I'm not seeing the aggressive side of their home search, I need to understand that I'm not going to, obviously there's been opportunities where you can't fire someone and let them go, but it's almost, you have to decide whether to put them on the back burner and put your energy into your clients in that moment, that you're able to close and get to the finish line and get them into their dream home, because they deserve your time and energy at that moment. So I think that for me, going from that very structured career in commercial where like everything was timed out, everything that I was doing was behind the desk, and now going into completely building my own business when it comes to marketing, social media, lead generation, prospecting, like showings, open houses all day, every day, that time management, that relationship management, and putting that priorities where they need to be is definitely my largest challenge currently as I'm building my business.
Gosh, Ron, time management and difficult clients in the luxury housing area. Comments that any thoughts you got, Ron, or Tyler?
Excuse me, I missed that last part.
Oh, no, I was asking Ron.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
He thoughts he wanted to share in that area. What you shared, because time management is a problem for all of us.
I think for me, Mark said it earlier. There's different personality types in this business. So sometimes when you see people that are super high energy and they're very expressive and they're very talkative, and then you see some people that are very like on the disc profile, they're high C and they're kind of just all business. But all types can make it. For me, one of my challenges is that I know I'm ADD. I don't have the hyper piece. I don't have the HD, but like I know I'm attention deficit. I know it. I struggle with too much stimulus, too much input, and we all are bombarded with stimulus and input all the time. So my biggest challenge is ignoring static and ignoring all the distractions and trying to just do the things that are going to help make me money. So that's it. I would just say that, one thing that Tyler said about trying to figure out who the people are that are going to make you the most. I mean, go back to the 80-20 principle. And if you're trying to network with a group of people or you've got clients you got to figure out who the 20% are. And don't worry about trying to be everything to all 100 people. Just figure out who the 20% are and spend your time with them and build your relationships with them. And in some cases, it may not even be that you know them yet. If you have people that are in your kind of peripheral sphere of influence, but you know they're highly influential, make that your mission to go bring them into your inner circle. Get those influential people in your sphere of influence and bring them in. Because if you can get them on your team, they are unbelievable referral partners.
That's great advice.
Thanks, Ron. And Mark, what challenges have you had since Monday?
Well, it's interesting because I'm trying to figure out how to answer this so that it applies to both the commercial and residential side and not be so focused on what's happening in the current world. But the reality is the last 3 to 4 years have been unprecedented for everybody, not just in real estate, but everybody in every walk of life, having to deal with a pandemic and then the economic crisis that followed it. And we're still trying to navigate that and how people are going to do their shopping and how people are going to occupy office space. We're dealing with that on a day-to-day basis. One of the nice things that I have, and your greatest strength is your greatest weakness here. I've got 4 different companies. 2 of my companies could care less who the president is, could care less what interest rates are or the economy's doing. And that's my property management business and my facilities management. You have to maintain these properties. You have to create a safe environment for your tenants and their employees and your customers. On the brokerage side and the investment side, they care very much what interest rates are happening and what the stock market is doing and consumer confidence and all of that. So the only thing I can say is as you're building your practice and as you're deciding what you want to do, the biggest challenges I have is one, dealing with 4 companies with 70 employees and team members. So dealing with people is always a challenge. The real estate's easy. It's dealing with people that's the challenge. And then how do you react to those things that you don't control? And I whether it's economics, whether it's social, whether it's political, how do you react to that? For me, I built an organization where I have a certain amount of reoccurring revenue that helps kind of smooth out the peaks and valleys. Where we make most of our money is on the brokerage and the investment side. But where we keep the lights on and where we keep our employees and we've never let anyone go, that's on the property management and the facilities management side of the business.
There you go. Yeah, I know they always told me that I kept the lights on and the doors open every day, and then the playing management fees to cover all of
It's
that.
true. It's true.
I know. Oh, I know. All right, how about we jump next question? This time for you to talk a little bit about how rewarding your business can be. So the question is, can you share any memorable experiences or projects that have you feel has shaped your career? Oh, I better pick somebody. Mark,
Yeah.
you're on a roll. Why don't you keep it up? What do you got?
Did you say me? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a fun one for me to answer because, first of all, I view commercial real estate mainly as a vehicle for connecting with people. And it's all about relationship building. For me, when it comes to the investment side, my job is to take the fear out of people investing in commercial real estate. Most everybody understands apartments and they understand residential. They've lived in an apartment or they've bought a home or something. But making an investment where your tenants are making 5 and 10 year commitments and the tenant improvements maybe $500,000 to $1 million in tenant improvements, that can be a scary proposition. So what I try to do is to remove that fear and build relationships. And Bob, I know you relate to this, there's the property management business is a grind. And so if you don't look at it in a different light, it can grind on you. For me, I look at it as I create opportunities for people to grow their businesses and all of that. And I'll share a quick little story with you to kind of accentuate that. There's a shopping center here in San Diego that I and my company have operated since 1993. And I don't have much involvement anymore. I've got my team and all of that, but it's kind of like my third daughter. I've been involved with it for now 31 years, and I have a 35 and 33-year-old daughter. So that shopping center is my third daughter. I got out of the car and one of my tenants came out and gave me a big hug and said she missed me. And she said, by the way, I'm not renewing my lease. And I'm like, you've been here for 20 some odd years. How can you, what's going on? And she goes, I'm done. I put three kids through college, and you gave me the confidence and the ability to open this dry cleaning and alterations business. And as a result of it, I was able to put 3 kids through college. I just wanted to thank you. I'm done. I'm retiring. And I would have never done it had you not given me the confidence and courage to be able to do something like that. So for me, that's the rewarding part of the business is building those relationships, helping vendors and tenants and clients build wealth through taking risk and making them comfortable in doing so.
Oh, man. What a great story in tenant relations.
Yeah.
You get invested. I get it. Ron.
I think I had this heart for education and teaching, training. I did a lot of that during college, graduate school, my first, those several years in higher education. So when I got into real estate, I found the opportunity to actually teach, and that was training new agents, and it was, I joined Keller Williams, and that organization has always been known for its investment in education. It's really a tremendous company, and I found opportunities to be a trainer. I enjoyed that. I didn't make money off of that per se, but I did enjoy that piece, and so that led me to actually getting an employment opportunity running a real estate office. And so it was an interesting piece because I almost had to give up being a real estate agent to be the CEO of the office, but the role that I had in that was an unbelievable time for me, because it was during a personal difficulty for me with going through a divorce, and that was in 2008, 2009. Tyler doesn't know about this because he's a young guy, but I mean, that was a hard time, man, in real estate. And we'll see those times again. I know it's just cyclical. We're going to see them again, but that was a tough time. And even in the Dallas market, where we're kind of insulated from things off, from the coasts, because the coasts kind of went through much more difficult times than we did here, but it was still tough. But being in charge of an office and having a lot of agents that looked to me for leadership and stability and instilling confidence in them and sticking with it, because it becomes a tough business. It is a tough business. I don't want to lie to anybody and say that this business is easy. It's not like on TV. And I think even if you do the research, the average real estate agent in residential makes less than $40,000 a year. Again, you really have to want to be in real estate, because you can do other jobs making more money than that. And those of us that are good at it are making a lot more than that, but the average is not doing great. So, I think if you're going to jump in, find something that really speaks to you. Find a company that really kind of resonates with you, and rely on the people that are really, really good and that they're not afraid to share what they know.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Tyler, you've got to have early victories here.
I do. And I'll keep this one quick because I know we got some more questions to go. But early on, my second listing, and when you first start in real estate, every opportunity is crucial. Like your brand, your reputation is always on the line. So my second listing was $1 million listing in Back Bay, and there was multiple parties on each side. And it was a very complicated process. I threw myself into the fire. I used the help of my mentor at the time to make this look extremely seamless. The seller who I was representing would have had no idea the frantic mindset that I had in the back end trying to figure all of this out. And when the buyer came in after the first open house we had 23 groups come in, had all this motivation, this confidence that everything was going to work. And then we went about 2 weeks without anything happening. And then the next thing you know, you have an all cash offer come in from actually a commercial guy that ended up making the deal a little bit complicated. But moral of the story is the deal ended up working out really well. Both parties were very, we're just very excited by how the purchase ended up going through. And they would have no idea that I was going to a mentor, that I was just figuring it out along the way. So that's like my biggest form of advice as I'm going through it. That experience was invaluable. The amount I learned from start to finish and how that has changed my confidence level moving forward and building my business is crazy. And that my biggest advice is just throw yourself in, put yourself in as many crazy situations, meet as many crazy people, say yes, and then just get the job done. Run around with your head cut off in the background. Just never let your client know in the front. So I just think early on, throw yourself in. And that was my most memorable experience. And I can't wait to tell that story for years to come, because it was a good one.
I'm pretty sure that Mark and Ron, along with myself, we'd hate to tell you how many times we were winging it. And it turned out. Yeah. Thinking on your feet, that's a big deal, and every time you do that, your confidence is going to grow. Yeah. And for myself, it's more at the end of my career. Mark, you probably relate to this a little bit more. You're only about 10 years behind me in 46 years of doing this. But at a point, money's money, and that's great. But at a point in my career, it became a little more altruistic, which is one of the reasons I enjoyed the affordable housing piece. As much as a pain it is to deal with HUD and state agencies, if you're in the tax credit program or subsidized rent, whatever the case may be. But to end my career on our company building and being involved in a property called St. Michael's Veterans Housing, which was a veterans housing building. It's been 2 phases now, 120 units between the two of them for formerly homeless veterans, providing, and it was a public-private nonprofit partnership, which people say you can't do these days, which is not true. You can, you just have to be very patient. That we won the National Apartment Association Excellence Award for in 2016. And then in 2022, we won the Excellence Award for the best new construction in the country with a property called 2nd and Delaware, which was built to passive house standards, which is a very uber sustainable green building standard. If you think of a building with a 16-inch thick wall wrapped around it and incredibly efficient systems to where it's easily the most energy efficient building in Kansas City. More than 96% of the rest of the buildings in Kansas City. So to be involved in projects like that is very rewarding and makes it, that's worth getting up in the morning, especially the veterans housing. You would not believe how that serves these veterans so extremely well. So I got the word that we have a question from the audience that, James, do you want to put that up and we'll skip over this one real quick? Oh, okay. Leslie, I'm with you. What kind of education is helpful or necessary for someone looking to enter residential real estate business after graduation or early in their career? And where do you find those sources of learning? First, let me tell you, I have a degree in political science and history, which has absolutely nothing to do with real estate, but I found my niche and a love of numbers that I didn't know I had before. If I was going back to college today, I'd probably look to a degree in marketing with a minor in finance. But by the same token, once again, in real estate, whatever your determination is, focus. But I'm also a very big believer in professional designations. I think they're incredibly important. That's the Certified Property Manager designation that Mark and I carry, plus the CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment Member, which is kind of a graduate level class, and financial analysis, real estate, and decision-making analysis. The professional designations, in my opinion, is the biggest expression that you want to be as professional as you can possibly be in this business. And it is well worth the time and effort for that. And there's professional designations attached to everybody, which is my 2 cents worth. Mark, you have anything you'd like to add to educational and how you grew into the business?
Well, let me do this in the interest of time. Let me defer to the 2 residential because the question specifically relating to that. So let me defer to them and I'll jump in if appropriate at the end. I want to make sure we answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the education piece, when you go get the training or get the coursework to get your license, that's all just checking the box to actually get to the place where you could go do real estate. At that point, I would say, understand that you're going to learn things along the way, and I would go to as many open houses as you can to just go preview houses as much as you possibly can. Go to your office meetings, learn, sit down on your broker education stuff that they offer you for free. If you're not with a company that provides that, then maybe look for one that does. But man, the best thing you can do is just invest in relationships with people. In the residential side, I think when people know that you are invested in them and building that relationship with them, they remember it. So understand that all the learning, you can do that along the way. And if anybody ever asks you, if you're afraid, well, gosh, I haven't been doing this long. What if somebody says, how long have you been doing this? And I had this guy tell me this one time. He said, I've only been asked one time in my career, how long have you been doing this? And when I was brand new, I thought that was my fear, that I was going to be asked that question all the time. And I think in my life, honestly, in that first several years, I don't think I was ever asked how long have I been doing it. It helped that I was 32 or something when I got in, but if you're 24, like the question it sounded like coming out of school, then yes, you may get asked that question. So just defer it. Laugh when they ask you that question and go, God, it feels like forever already. How long have you been managing a commercial property? turn the question on them and get them to talk about themselves, and just end up don't answering the question. But it was said earlier, people love to talk about themselves, so just flip it. But understand that your skills in building relationships with people are going to really be what makes your career in real estate easier. If you're not good at building relationships with people, or if you're awkward with people, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think?
I'll keep it really quick and divide it into 3 areas. If you're already knowing that you want to become a real estate agent and you're in college, I think there's nothing more valuable than like an entrepreneurship degree, marketing degree, finance degree, like business management, just something around building a business. And we have so much information on the internet. Listen to podcasts, read books. If you are that passionate about becoming a real estate agent at an early age, and you're going to put the time and the work in to not only find the information and then go all in on learning it. And then lastly, just like Ron said, like my favorite part when I first got in was literally grabbing coffee with as many real estate agents as possible and listening to their success stories. And if you're listening to these stories and you're not getting hyped up about it, like about you potentially being in that position 5, 10, 15 years from now, then like you might need to take a check of like, do you really want to embark on this really tough career? Because if you're hearing these success stories and someone came over with $7 and now does $330 million a year in sales, like that's pretty freaking awesome. You know, so as you're going through that knowledge intake, that process of becoming a real estate agent, like find out where your passions lie. And that's where you can kind of find your niche too through those conversations, like where you want to be in the real estate market, whether it's commercial or residential.
Wow. And don't believe anything on those TV shows because they're not telling you the truth.
Yeah.
So you know.
Sirhan's one of the best.
Listen, we got a couple minutes left. So we're going to jump to the last question here. I believe that's correct. What lessons you learned in Sigma Chi influenced your professional career? Mark, you missed out on the last one. What do you got for this one?
Yeah. You know, the lessons I learned in Sigma Chi, I did hold a couple of, a little bit of a story, but I held 2 positions within the chapter, and scholarship and social. And I chose those 2 because those were 2 areas where I felt were my biggest weaknesses. I was on academic probation and I became the scholarship chair. I was super shy and I became the social chair. And the first thing I learned is through that process is put yourself in uncomfortable positions, cause yourself to stretch. Don't be afraid to just get out there, put yourself out there. When you're going to a networking event, just don't hang with your buddies. Just go to a group of people and start talking. So put yourself in uncomfortable positions, and very soon they will become very comfortable. And the more you do that, the better you can kind of further your career. So those are some of the lessons I learned, and then just following your core group of friends that you graduated with, and learning and observing leadership skills. Because at the end of the day, whether you are working by yourself or you're managing a team of brokers or you have a partner like Tyler talked about, you got to have leadership skills. And through podcasts, and for me, it took me going back to school to get my master's degree to put more tools in my toolbox about leadership.
All about leadership. There you go. Ron, your Sigma Chi experiences.
You know, I think that so much of what we stand for is fidelity, integrity, high ambition. Those are all things that, you know, I didn't hold, you know, a consul position. I didn't hold one of these high office positions as an undergraduate. But I found more leadership opportunities outside of college than I did when I was in college. So I guess the lessons that I learned was, you know, just to to follow those leadership opportunities. Take advantage of things that you think will put you in a leadership position, because when people see you in a leadership position, it just automatically gives you more credibility. It's not a faking it thing, but the more you're doing that, the more that you are exuding confidence, and people want to follow you, people want to listen to you. But we all know, let's be honest. I mean, we seek that from people that we admire. So stay hungry, stay humble. Use the high ambition piece that really was instilled in us, and Sigma Chi has been more about. I tell people, especially in the alumni chapter here in Dallas, is that Sigma Chi was not 4 years; it's for life. I've had way more unbelievable experiences through Sigma Chi in my adult years, my alumni years, than I did in undergrad. But it is a lifetime, and this is a network that really is unparalleled by any other Greek organization. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, there you go. Tyler, what did you drag out of your chapter at Bryant with you?
I came to Bryant University, which is in Rhode Island, from New Jersey, absolutely knowing nobody. And I'm a pretty outgoing person. I find it pretty easy to mesh into a crowd and build relationships. But when I stepped onto that campus and didn't know anybody, that was a tough beginning to my college career. And the upperclassmen at the time before, because we couldn't even join until like second semester of freshman year or whatever it was, but they just brought me and a person that I met for the first time into the house one day, treated us just like gold, just in the sense of like wanting to like listen to our story and just being great people to us. And then from that like moment forward, to the point where then I got inducted into the fraternity, it taught me how to build relationships, step outside my comfort zone, and honestly just go about life the right way. And it was really cool being able to like move to Boston a couple years after Bryant, because the community was so small. A lot of those people moved into Boston, and now not only are they my brothers, but like they're my best friends. I do business with them. I see them constantly, and it's really cool when you have a weekend and you have your like main core group of friends, which I would have multiple brothers that are in that group. And then all of a sudden people start to congregate from all over the greater Boston area to just come together. It's invaluable, the relationships that I was able to build through it. And it showed how powerful it was, from the sense that I wasn't myself from that day I walked into Bryant University, and the person I was when I walked out at the end was pretty magical and awesome. And a lot of it's due to the foundation of what I was able to take from Sigma Chi and the brothers that took me in. So,
yeah, boy, that's. I've always believed that the main value of the Greek system is it teaches us how to create and sustain long-term relationships. And if you can learn how to do that, life is a whole lot easier. Trust me, you're a better employer, better employee, better dad, better husband, better, go down the list. As I watch my parents have friends that they had for 75 years, the Greek system teaches that. And I think Sigma Chi, if you're paying attention, does that exceptionally well. And one thing I carried away from being a two-term consul in my chapter was how important it is to be able to inspire your team members, however you want to describe them, by continuing to focus on the intrinsic value of what we do. Leading volunteers in the chapter were difficult, so why are we doing this? And trying to appeal to that intrinsic value. But I also learned in business, I can hit him over the head with a paycheck, but at the end of the day, I want them to be inspired to something greater. The vision statement for my department was, we love providing people with respectable, affordable housing. It was printed on the back of everybody's business card. Have you looked at that lately? Kind of a thing. And continually reminded my people about the why. And that is, I get to give people the most intimate thing I can give them, and that's a home. And I know what it means to me. I'm pretty sure I know what it means to you. And that's a privilege. And especially on the affordable side, which can be very, very hard. So there's all kinds of spots around there. So, gentlemen, I got to tell you, I'm inspired. I'm kind of excited. But as I constantly meet the undergraduates I do at workshop, as I meet alumni like yourselves, I just have always been amazed at what good hands this country is, or our industries are, because of the quality of person that Sigma Chi seems to continue to generate. No matter what the profession is they've chosen, we happen to have chosen one that is very critical to providing people with a home or a tenant with a place to grow their business and be valuable, just like the story Mark told with that tenant. That is such a wonderful story, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we're kind of at the end of our time here. And I will tell you that we didn't quite get to all the questions. Jim Hefner had to leave to go to a call for KTLW, and he says, maybe we got to do this again because we got a lot more stuff to cover. So we'll see what they come up with the consortium and what he and Leslie decide they want to do. But first of all, for all the Sigma Chi's out there that took the time of this evening to come and listen to us wax philosophical about our industry that has been so great for us, so rewarding, as well as one that has created a career path that I hope you can tell, to use Ron's words, that we love and are committed to. And my hope for you is that you find the same joy, love, and inspiration in whatever career path you choose to go down, if it's not real estate. But by the same token, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Is that the right word, Ron? Get out of the comfort zone and try something new from that standpoint. So I'm sorry you're 6 minutes late getting to the NFL honors show. So in conclusion, may I just give you one last piece of inspiration. Go Chiefs. Thanks for being with us tonight, brother. And Mark, Tyler, and Ron, I hope we're at the same place at the same time someday so I can shake your hands. And,
I look forward to it. Enjoyed it.
All right.